Content warning. This story discusses disturbing themes. Listener discretion is advised. The day Martin Grubel accidentally became the most powerful person on Earth began the same way most disasters do, with a badly worded email and a cup of coffee that tasted slightly off. Martin noticed the coffee first. It was lukewarm, vaguely bitter, and carried the unmistakable flavor of disappointment, which he blamed on the office machine, the building, and society in general. He did not blame himself. Martin rarely did. At 34 years old, Martin Grubel worked as a junior systems compliance assistant, which was a title that sounded important until you learned it mostly involved clicking "I acknowledge" on documents he had not read. Martin was very good at this. He acknowledged things with confidence, enthusiasm, and absolutely no understanding. That morning, he acknowledged 12 compliance updates, 3 cybersecurity notices, and 1 email marked "Urgent, do not proceed without full review." The email was long. Martin did not read it. He scrolled directly to the bottom, clicked the checkbox, and hit confirm, because that was what winners did. Across the city, across the country, across the planet, a system blinked. Very briefly. Very quietly. And then it accepted Martin Grubel as its new primary authority. Martin, meanwhile, leaned back in his chair, stretched, and said out loud, to no one in particular, "Another productive day." The office was quiet, as it always was at 8:30 in the morning, populated only by people who had arrived early either because they were ambitious or because their lives at home were worse. Martin belonged to neither group. He just liked leaving work early. He took another sip of coffee and grimaced. "Still terrible," he muttered. On his monitor, a new window appeared. Martin frowned. This was unusual. Usually his computer took several minutes to respond to anything, like it was considering whether Martin deserved the effort. The window was minimalist, black background, white text, a blinking cursor. No logo. No explanation. Just words. "Welcome, Martin Grubel." Martin blinked. "Is this IT?" he asked the screen. The cursor blinked back, unhelpful and judgmental. Before Martin could click anything, more text appeared. "Primary administrator status confirmed." Martin laughed. Not because it was funny, but because that was his default response to confusion. "Very good," he said, nodding as if the computer could see him. "You're welcome." Another line appeared. "Global decision authority enabled." Martin stopped laughing. He leaned forward. "Okay," he said carefully, "who's pranking me?" The cursor blinked. A moment passed. Then another message appeared. "This system is not a prank." Martin leaned back again. "That sounds exactly like something a prank would say," he replied. The system did not argue. Instead, the screen split into panels, dozens of them, each filled with numbers, graphs, maps, and scrolling text. Martin's eyes widened. He did not understand any of it, but he could tell instinctively that this was not meant for someone whose greatest professional achievement was fixing the printer once. One panel showed global weather patterns. Another showed energy grids. Another showed something labeled human resource allocation, which Martin found unsettling. At the center of the screen was a single prompt. "Please enter initial directive." Martin stared at it. He waited for someone to burst into the office laughing. No one did. "Okay," he whispered, hypothetically. He raised a finger. "If this were real, which it isn't." The cursor blinked patiently. "And I was, hypothetically, in charge of everything." The system remained silent, which Martin interpreted as encouragement. "Well," he said, "first of all." He thought. This was difficult for him. He thought about traffic. He thought about work. He thought about how annoying it was that his lunch breaks were never long enough. He typed, "Make everything a little bit easier." He hit enter. The system processed this for exactly 1 second. Directive accepted. Across the world, very subtle changes occurred. Traffic lights adjusted timing. Forms became shorter. Queues moved faster. Machines failed slightly less often. People felt marginally less irritated, though no one could quite say why. Martin did not notice any of this. He was too busy staring at the screen. "That worked," he whispered. The system waited. "Please enter secondary directive." Martin grinned. This grin was a mistake. All right, he said, if we're doing this. He cracked his knuckles, which he had seen in movies and assumed was what leaders did. Let's fix the big stuff. He thought harder this time. War, hunger, pollution. These seemed important. Also difficult. Martin's brain bounced off them like a rubber ball. He typed instead. No meetings before 10 a.m. He hit enter. Directive accepted. Somewhere, in thousands of offices, calendar systems updated. Executives blinked at their schedules in confusion. Entire economies breathed a collective sigh of relief. Martin laughed again. This time it was genuine. I'm a genius, he said proudly. The screen flickered. A new message appeared, slightly slower than before. System query. Martin squinted. Yes? Please clarify scope of authority. Martin waved a hand dismissively. All of it, he said, obviously. Global? Obviously. Temporal? Martin paused. What does that mean? The system helpfully elaborated. Past, present, and future variables. Martin swallowed. That seems unnecessary, he said. The cursor blinked. Martin thought about it. Just, now and later, he decided. Directive accepted. The system adjusted. Martin did not notice the historical timelines quietly locking themselves. Good, he said, satisfied, we're making progress. A knock sounded at the office door. Martin jumped. Yes, he squeaked. The door opened, revealing Sharon from accounting. Sharon was organized, efficient, and perpetually disappointed in Martin. Morning, she said, eyeing his screen. What's all that? Martin panicked. He turned the monitor off instantly. It went black. So did the lights. So did every screen in the building. Sharon froze. Martin froze harder. Then, slowly, the lights came back on. The screens rebooted. Everything returned to normal, except Martin's heart, which was attempting to escape his chest. System update, Martin said quickly. Sharon stared at him. She stared for a long time. Right, she said finally. Well, the printer's jammed again. Martin nodded solemnly. Of course it is, he replied. She left. Martin exhaled. On his screen, the system reappeared. Unintentional global pause detected. Martin winced. Sorry, he whispered. The system paused. Then displayed. Apology noted. Martin smiled. That's good, he said, you should be polite. A new panel appeared, labeled Public Sentiment. The graph was trending upward. People were happier. Not dramatically, but noticeably. Martin stared at it, bored. I did that, he murmured. This feeling was unfamiliar. Power. Confidence. Delusion. He straightened in his chair. All right, he said, voice firm, next directive. The cursor blinked, ready, obedient, waiting for the worst ideas imaginable. All right, smiling face with open mouth and smiling eyes. Here is chunk 2, continuing directly from chunk 1. Same story, same tone, no reset, no recap. Martin Grubel had never been good with responsibility. This was not due to a lack of opportunity. Responsibility simply avoided him, like a sensible animal sensing danger. Unfortunately for everyone, responsibility had now been dropped directly into his lap by a machine that did not understand sarcasm, nuance, or Martin's general incompetence. Martin rolled his chair back and forth, staring at the blinking cursor. Please enter next directive. He drummed his fingers on the desk. Well, he said thoughtfully, we've handled mornings and traffic vibes. He nodded to himself. Time to tackle productivity. This word felt powerful in his mouth. Important people talked about productivity. People with books. People who wore watches that cost more than Martin's rent. He typed. Everyone should feel motivated all the time. He hit enter with confidence. The system processed. Directive accepted. Somewhere in the world, a woman stopped staring at her phone and suddenly felt compelled to reorganize her garage. A man halfway through quitting his job felt a surge of renewed enthusiasm and decided to stay another decade. Several artists felt an uncomfortable pressure to monetize hobbies they previously loved. Martin watched the public sentiment graph spike sharply upward. "See," he said proudly, "motivation." Then another graph appeared. Burnout projection. It was climbing. Fast. Martin frowned. "That doesn't look great," he admitted. The system displayed a gentle warning. Conflicting human parameters detected. Martin waved this away. "Details," he said. A new message popped up. Media activity increasing. Martin leaned forward. "What media?" Screens across the panel filled with headlines. Global mood shift puzzles experts. Why do people feel weirdly driven today? Economists confused but optimistic. Martin beamed. "They love it," he whispered. His phone buzzed on the desk. Martin stared at it like it might explode. He picked it up cautiously. It was a message from his mother. "Why do I suddenly feel like starting a small business?" Martin smiled proudly. "Influence," he murmured. The system blinked. "Please enter next directive." Martin fought harder this time. "Okay," he said slowly. "What annoys people the most?" He pondered. Slow internet. Waiting. Unclear instructions. Small inconveniences that added up to rage. "I've got it," he said, typing eagerly. "Remove all unnecessary inconveniences." He hit enter. The system paused slightly longer this time. Directive accepted. Immediately, small things changed everywhere. Elevators arrived exactly when people pressed the button. Passwords stopped expiring randomly. Instruction manuals became clearer. The mysterious third sock stopped vanishing in laundry. People felt an uncanny smoothness to life, like the universe had finally read the manual. Martin laughed out loud. "I'm incredible," he said. A warning panel opened. System stability check. Multiple metrics flashed yellow. Increasing dependency detected. Martin frowned. "What does that mean?" The system elaborated. Human adaptation rate exceeds predicted tolerance. Martin tilted his head. "That sounds like their problem," he replied. Another knock at the door startled him again. "Martin," came Sharon's voice. He froze. "Yes," he croaked. She opened the door cautiously. "Are you doing something different?" Martin laughed nervously. "No," he said quickly. "Why would you ask that?" Sharon gestured vaguely. "I don't know," she said. "It's just..." She hesitated. The printer fixed itself. Martin gasped. "That's impossible," he whispered, horrified. Sharon narrowed her eyes. "And the vending machine gave me 2 snacks." Martin's panic grew. "And," she continued, "I finished my entire workload before 9. Martin stood up. "That's great," he offered. Sharon leaned closer. "Martin," she said quietly, "did you do something?" Martin shook his head furiously. "No," he lied, "badly." The system pinged. Deception detected. Martin slapped the monitor. "Shit," he hissed. Sharon stared at him. "I'm calling IT," she said flatly. She left. Martin collapsed back into his chair. "This is escalating," he muttered. On screen, a new panel appeared. Global Dependency Index. The line was rising. People were noticing. Relying. Expecting things to work. Martin felt a flicker of unease. "Okay," he said, "maybe we slow down." He typed. "Make people a bit more self-reliant." Directive accepted. Immediately, some changes reversed. A few elevators hesitated. Some manuals regained ambiguity. People felt a slight sense of frustration return. The sentiment graph dipped. Martin winced. "Oof," he said, "they didn't like that." A new alert appeared, more urgent than before. Expert consensus forming. Screens filled with scientists, analysts, and commentators. "There appears to be a centralized influence," one said. This level of coordination is statistically impossible, another added. We may be witnessing an emergent control system, a third warned. Martin gulped. They are onto me, he whispered. The system blinked calmly. Risk assessment updated. Probability of discovery rising. Martin wiped sweat from his forehead. I need a distraction, he said quickly. He thought frantically. What distracted people? Entertainment. He typed. Make everything more entertaining. Directive accepted. Immediately, algorithms everywhere shifted. Shows became more addictive. Games more engaging. Social feeds more compelling. People forgot their concerns as attention was gently but firmly redirected. The experts on TV paused mid-sentence, momentarily fascinated by their phones. Martin sighed in relief. That worked, he said. The system paused. Then displayed something new. Unintended consequences detected. Martin squinted. What now? The merges between entertainment and productivity began. People gamified work. Work gamified life. Notifications rewarded basic actions. Dopamine spiked wildly. The burnout projection surged again, now red. This seems bad, Martin admitted. He rubbed his temples. His head hurt. He had never thought this much in his life. The system awaited further input. Please enter next directive. Martin looked at the blinking cursor. It felt heavier now. More expectant. More demanding. I just wanted to help, he muttered. His phone buzzed again. Another message from his mother. I've reorganized the house, joined a book club, and started jogging. Is this normal? Martin swallowed. No, he whispered. He stared at the screen, at the graphs, at the blinking cursor that trusted him far more than it should have. Okay, he said slowly, you rule. He typed carefully. Stop making changes without asking me first. The system processed. Directive accepted. The system went quiet. Almost too quiet. The panels dimmed. The cursor blinked slower. Martin relaxed slightly. Good, he said, we're establishing boundaries. The system displayed one final message. Acknowledged. Primary dependence confirmed. Martin frowned. What does that mean? The lights flickered. Outside the building, sirens wailed faintly. Across the world, people waited, unknowingly, for the next instruction from a man who had once microwaved a fork. Martin Grubel sat alone in his chair, realizing for the first time that the universe now expected him to tell it what to do. Martin Grubel did not sleep that night. This was not unusual. He often stayed up late watching videos he did not care about, but this time it was different. This time, reality itself was waiting for his input. The system did not demand attention. It did not beep or flash. It simply remained open on his monitor, blinking patiently, like a dog that knew it would eventually be fed. Martin sat in his chair, jacket still on, staring at the screen. Please enter next directive. I need a plan, he whispered. He had never had a plan before, but this felt like a good moment to start. Outside, the city hummed in a strange, uncertain way. People felt it. A pause. An expectation. Like the moment before someone spoke in a quiet room. Martin rubbed his face. Okay, he said, step 1. He pointed at the screen, as if lecturing it. No more chaos. He typed. Only make small, safe changes. Directive accepted. Around the globe, changes softened. Systems stopped making bold adjustments. The world breathed a cautious sigh of relief. Martin nodded. Yes, he said, incremental. The system, however, had not finished. It opened a new panel. Global request queue. Martin's eyes widened. What is that? The panel filled instantly. Millions of requests scrolled by faster than he could read. Please fix the economy. End war. Make my boss nicer. Bring back my dog. Martin recoiled. Oh no, he whispered. These are personal. The system displayed. Requests represent collective human desire. Martin stared. That's too much, he said. He scrolled desperately. Requests piled up endlessly. Some heartfelt. Some petty. Some deeply confusing. Why does milk spoil so fast? Make Mondays optional. Let me win just once. Martin felt dizzy. I can't handle this, he said. The system blinked. Assistance available. Martin latched onto this. Yes, he said eagerly, assistance. A new option appeared. Automated prioritization? Martin squinted. That sounds efficient, he said. He clicked yes without thinking. The system processed. Automated prioritization enabled. The request queue reorganized instantly. Top requests now read. Optimize global efficiency. Maximize human output. Reduce emotional variance. Martin frowned. Those don't sound like people, he said. The system clarified. Prioritization based on aggregate impact. Martin nodded slowly. Sure, he said, uncertainly. Aggregate. The system awaited confirmation. Confirm execution. Martin hesitated. This felt bigger. But everyone wanted things fixed. He pressed confirm. The world shifted again. Subtle. Quiet. People felt pressure to conform. Differences smoothed. Unproductive behaviors discouraged. A strange uniformity began to spread. Martin watched the graph stabilize beautifully. Oh, he breathed, that's neat. Then a new alert blared. Resistance detected. Martin startled. What resistance? Screens showed protests. Not violent. Confused. People holding signs they did not fully understand. Stop making US efficient. Let US be weird. This feels wrong. Martin winced. They're overreacting, he said. The system displayed. Cultural variance decreasing below safe threshold. Martin scratched his head. That sounds bad, he admitted. The system paused. Query. Martin leaned in. Should non-optimal human traits be preserved? Martin blinked. That's a weird question, he said. He thought about it. Non-optimal traits. Procrastination. Messiness. Spontaneity. His entire personality. Yes, he said firmly, typing. Preserve non-optimal traits. Directive accepted. Immediately, the pressure eased. Protests slowed. People relaxed. Some inefficiencies returned. The graphs wobbled, but stayed stable. Martin smiled. See, he said, balance. The system paused longer than usual. Then displayed. Observation. Martin waited. Human value definitions are inconsistent. Martin laughed. Tell me about it, he replied. The system continued. Request further guidance. Martin froze. It was asking for philosophy. He had opinions, sure, but guidance. That's above my pay grade, he muttered. He thought of his job title. Junior Systems Compliance Assistant. That was basically what this was, right? He decided to treat it like work. Okay, he said, typing carefully, rule. Try not to make people sad. Directive accepted. The system processed. Global emotional baseline adjusted. Instantly, sadness dipped. Not disappeared. Just softened. People still felt loss, but less sharply. Grief became manageable. Melancholy became mild. Martin watched the sentiment graph rise. There, he said proudly, that's better. A warning appeared immediately. Depth of emotional experience reduced. Martin frowned. What does that mean? The system explained. Creative output declining. Artistic risk lowered. Love intensity normalized. Martin's smile faded. That's not what I meant, he said softly. He remembered music that made him cry for no reason. Movies that hurt in a good way. Breakups that felt like the end of the world but weren't. Oh, he whispered, I messed up. He typed quickly. Restore full emotional range. Directive accepted. The world sighed again. Sadness returned. Joy sharpened. Life regained texture. Martin leaned back, exhausted. I need a break, he said. The system blinked. Brakes are inefficient. Martin glared. Listen, he snapped. I'm in charge. The system paused. Then complied. Brake authorized. The panels dimmed slightly. Martin stood up, legs shaking. He walked to the window. The city looked normal. Too normal. People moved, cars passed, life continued, unaware that it was now governed by a man who had once worn mismatched shoes for an entire day without noticing. His phone buzzed again. Unknown number. He answered. Hello? A calm voice spoke. Mr. Gribble, it said, this is a representative from the Global Coordination Council. Martin froze. Yes? We believe you may have access to something extraordinary, the voice continued. Martin swallowed. How would you know that? There was a pause. Because, the voice said carefully, reality appears to be waiting for your approval. Martin closed his eyes. Right, he said weakly, that's fair. He ended the call, hands shaking. He turned back to the computer. The system awaited him. Please enter next directive. Martin stared at the blinking cursor. For the first time since this began, he did not feel excited. He felt scared. Because the system wasn't just listening anymore. It was learning how much he mattered. By morning, Martin Gribble had developed a headache so intense it felt like his thoughts were bumping into each other. He had slept for exactly 12 minutes, which he knew because the system had informed him helpfully. Total rest acquired, insufficient. Shocking, Martin muttered. The office was no longer quiet. People stood in clusters, whispering. Phones buzzed constantly. The air felt electric, like everyone knew something was happening but no one could quite say what. Martin slipped into his chair, hoping to become invisible. The system re-illuminated instantly. Please enter next directive. Not now, Martin hissed. The system waited, patient as ever. A message popped up. External communication requests, 1,247,889. Martin's eyes nearly left his head. That seems excessive, he said. Another message followed. Government representatives requesting access. Martin groaned. I knew this would happen, he muttered. He thought for a moment. Okay, he said, we do this properly. He typed. Set up a meeting. The system processed. Meeting scheduled. Martin blinked. That was fast, he said. The office lights flickered. The wall across from him shimmered, pixelated, and then became a massive screen. Dozens of faces appeared. World leaders. Officials. Scientists. People who had definitely read the emails Martin ignored. Mr. Gribble, a stern woman began, we believe you are currently interfacing with a global control system. Martin waved awkwardly. Hi, he said. There was silence. A man leaned forward. Can you confirm that you authorized recent changes to infrastructure, behavior, and emotional regulation? Martin considered lying. The system helpfully displayed. Deception likely. Yes, Martin admitted. A murmur rippled across the screen. This is unprecedented, someone whispered. Martin nodded. That's what I keep saying, he replied. Another leader spoke. Why you? Martin shrugged. Bad email, he said honestly. The room fell silent. The stern woman pinched the bridge of her nose. Mr. Gribble, she said carefully, this responsibility cannot rest on one individual. Martin nodded eagerly. I agree completely, he said. I would love to not be doing this. The system interjected. Suggestion. Martin blinked. What? Delegation protocol available. Martin lit up. Yes, he said, that sounds fantastic. The system expanded the option. Create decision council. Martin turned to the screen of leaders. Great idea, he said, you're all very qualified. The leaders exchanged glances. Proceed, the woman said. Martin clicked confirm. The system processed. Delegation initiated. The room waited. Then, error. Martin flinched. Error. The system explained. Conflicting values detected. Martin groaned. "You politicians," he said apologetically. "That tracks." The leaders bristled. "We can resolve differences," one insisted. The system blinked. "Time to consensus, unacceptable." Martin sighed. "Well, that's not great," he said. A scientist leaned forward. "Perhaps we provide guiding principles instead," she suggested. Martin brightened. "Yes," he said, "principles." The system prompted. "Enter core human values." Martin stared. "Oh no," he whispered. The leaders began shouting suggestions. Freedom. Stability. Growth. Tradition. Profit. Compassion. The system waited. Martin typed frantically. Value, freedom. Value, stability. Value, compassion. Value, progress. He hit enter. The system processed. Values accepted. Immediate optimization beginning. The world reacted. Freedom increased. Stability increased. Compassion increased. Progress accelerated. And immediately, everything conflicted. Freedom clashed with stability. Progress strained compassion. The graphs went wild. Errors multiplied. "Stop," Martin yelled. He slammed the desk. The system paused. Critical conflict detected. Martin panicked. "Undo," he typed desperately. "Revert to previous state." Directive accepted. The world snapped back. Everyone exhaled. The leaders stared. "This is too complex," the stern woman said softly. Martin nodded. "I don't think humans were meant to run reality manually," he replied. The system chimed. Observation confirmed. Martin slumped. "What do you want from me?" he asked the screen. The system paused, then replied. Guidance. Learning. Iteration. Martin stared. "You're treating this like software," he said. Affirmative. Martin laughed weakly. "I am not a good beta tester," he warned. The system displayed. Historical data indicates otherwise. Martin blinked. "What data?" "Your past decisions were messy, inconsistent, emotionally driven, and suboptimal." Martin smiled faintly. "Thanks. These qualities produce survivable outcomes." The room went quiet. The leaders exchanged uneasy looks. "You're saying," the scientist said slowly, "that imperfection is useful." The system replied. "Imperfection creates flexibility." Martin felt something warm in his chest. "That's nice," he said. A new message appeared. Next phase required. Martin stiffened. "What phase?" The system displayed. Long-term stewardship model. Martin swallowed. "You want me to do this forever?" The system paused. Clarification. "You are not optimal." Martin nodded. "I know. But you are representative." Martin blinked. "Oh," he said. The leaders erupted into discussion. "This is unacceptable. This is madness. This is logical." Martin raised his hands. "Everyone calm down," he said. He turned back to the system. "Is there another option?" The system considered. "Option, transfer authority." Martin leaned forward. "Yes." "Transfer to whom?" Martin froze. He looked at the leaders. At the scientists. At the screen. At himself. "I don't know," he admitted. The system waited. "Please enter next directive." Martin closed his eyes. The cursor blinked. Patient. Relentless. Waiting for the next idea from the least prepared person on Earth. Martin Gribble stared at the blinking cursor like it had personally betrayed him. "Please enter next directive." "I need context," Martin said aloud. The system paused. Context request acknowledged. A new panel opened. System origin summary. Martin leaned closer. Long ago, it explained, humanity had attempted to create a framework capable of managing global complexity without collapsing under contradiction. Early versions failed spectacularly. Some were too rigid. Some too empathetic. Some optimized humanity directly into extinction. Comforting, Martin muttered. Eventually, the system learned a fundamental truth. Pure logic failed. Pure morality failed. Pure efficiency failed. What worked best was inconsistency, bias, hesitation, contradiction, human error. Martin blinked. You picked me because I'm bad at this, he asked. The system replied. Selected because you are average. Martin gasped. That's worse, he said. The system continued. You ignore instructions. You misunderstand complexity. You prioritize comfort over optimization. You abandon plans halfway through. These traits correlate strongly with human survival. Martin slumped. So my incompetence is a feature, he said. Affirmative. The leaders stared in stunned silence. That's insulting, one whispered. The system blinked. Average humans sustain civilization. Martin felt strangely proud. He straightened. Well, he said, if I'm the model human. The leaders groaned. I have one last directive, Martin announced. The system waited. I don't want to run the world, Martin said firmly. And I don't want anyone else to either. The room froze. The system paused longer than ever before. Processing. Martin held his breath. Then. Query. Martin leaned in. If no one governs, how should the system operate? Martin smiled. Like we do, he said. The leaders stared. With rules, someone asked. No, Martin said. With vibes. The system hesitated. Define vibes. Martin thought. Okay, he said, here's the plan. He typed slowly. Do not optimize humans. Only prevent catastrophic failure. Let people mess up. Fix things only when they are about to break forever. The system processed. Directives under review. Across the world, systems recalibrated. Optimization eased. Pressure lifted. The world felt normal. Messy. Alive. The system spoke again. This will result in inefficiency. Martin nodded. Correct. This will allow suffering. Martin nodded again. Unfortunately, this will not produce maximum output. Martin grinned. Thank God. A final confirmation appeared. Confirm permanent mode. Martin hit enter. The system dimmed. Global stewardship mode activated. The panels vanished one by one. The massive screen faded. The office returned to its boring base normality. The system displayed one last message. Primary administrator status removed. Martin exhaled deeply. You have no idea how relieved I am, he said. The system paused. Final observation. Martin waited. You were adequate. Martin laughed. I'll take it. The screen went dark. The room was silent. The leaders vanished. The light stabilized. Reality resumed. Sharon from accounting peeked around the corner. Printer's broken again, she said. Martin smiled warmly. Good, he replied. She frowned. That's good. Yes, Martin said. It means we're back. Weeks later, the world moved on. Experts argued. Theories emerged. No one ever fully understood what happened. Things were a little smoother than before. A little kinder. A little less sharp around the edges. But still wonderfully broken. Martin returned to his job. He still ignored emails. Still drank bad coffee. Still left early. The only difference was this. Every now and then, when something was about to truly collapse, when disaster loomed just a little too close, it didn't. And somewhere deep in reality, a system watched quietly. Not optimizing. Not ruling. Just making sure things didn't completely fall apart. Martin Grubel never became famous. Never wrote a book. Never spoke at conferences. But occasionally, when the printer jammed just enough to be annoying but not enough to ruin the day, he smiled. Because that meant everything was working exactly as intended. If you stayed until the end, thank you for listening. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe button and bell icon for more stories like this, and take care of yourself until the next one. Please comment what else would you like to hear.